You know what, Elizabeth? I was just saying how beautiful your picture is on your new book, Where There's Hope. Now, tell me a little bit about this, because this is the follow-up to your memoir.
Well, it's more than the follow-up, because once I wrote my story, I kind of said, that's it. Like, no more books. I've done it. Been there, done that. Check that off the list. I was still am very heavily involved in advocacy, in speaking out, in sharing my story, especially with other survivors and victims. And as I was doing that, I'd hold a lot of Q&As. And the questions that I was getting were questions that were more, how do you deal with anger? Have you forgiven your captors? Where do you find hope? How have you maintained your faith? There were these broader questions, and I kept getting asked them over and over again. And so then I thought, well, if I ever wrote another book, I think I'd try to answer those questions.
The one thing I really wanted to know is, how are you able to keep hope while being captured?
You know, it was hard. And there were times that I felt like I had lost my hope. But then I'd always come back to remembering my family, remembering what was really important to me.
How were you able to keep it together?
It was a miracle. I mean, I've always had a faith in God, and that certainly was a big part of my survival. I mean, my parents, from a very early age, they said, it doesn't matter what people say, you'll know them by their actions. You'll know if they're a good person by what they do. And so despite what my captors were telling me every day, all day, they were hurting me. They were hurting my family. They were hurting basically every other person they came into contact with. And I could see that. I knew that firsthand. And so it was very clear to me that they were not good people. And that's kind of how I was able to maintain my faith, stay grounded, and do what I had to survive.
And you talk about forgiveness, which seems impossible when someone goes through such a horrific tragedy like this. How did you do it?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of ideas of what forgiveness is. I think we think forgiveness is to make the other person feel better. Forgiveness is an acceptance of the actions that have been done against you or that you've done against somebody else. I don't think forgiveness is like accepting rape or accepting abuse, saying that that's okay, because rape will never be okay. Abuse will never be okay. Forgiveness, and we also think of it's to make the other person feel better. Well, my captors, like, they don't care. It's not gonna make a difference to them if I forgive them or not. It's not gonna change how they feel. But it does change how I feel. Because if I stay angry at them, if I stay mad over what's happened to me, that's anger that I'm gonna be carrying with me every day. And I mean, I'm a busy woman. I've got 2 kids. Like, that is the toughest job, the most draining job I've ever had. I don't have extra emotion to waste being angry on something that happened 15 years ago. So I feel like forgiveness, it's for me. It's all for me. It's, I think, the greatest form of self-love you can give yourself.
Did you ever imagine this for yourself?
I always wanted a family. I always wanted to get married. I always wanted to have kids. And so, yeah, it's always been part of my dream.
And it happened.
And it happened.
This is so nice. I'm so happy for you. And just to see you smiling right now, this is everything. Congratulations on all of your success. And more importantly, your happiness.
Thank you so much.
Of course.